Now more than ever before, people are worried about the economy, they're worried about their jobs, and they have a very good reason to believe this, that there is more concern coming up, and that the good days, they are behind us. You came here for the truth, so let me unveil that for you. In today's video, I'm going to show you what's going on at a deeper level. I'm going to give you several examples of it, show you what the biggest corporations are doing as a result of all of this, and then what's going to happen in the end. This is extremely important. I have been thinking about this a lot and I want to bring it to you in this video. It will come full circle at the end. So stay tuned with this first. The hottest issue of the year. 59% of respondents to this particular poll said that the most important issue in the United States is the economy. And of course, when everything is so crazy expensive, and you know it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's not just one thing or the other. And people will say, you know what? If fast food is too expensive, I'll just stop buying fast food. Or instead of going once every week, I'll go once a month and all that. But then you go to the grocery store and those prices have come up. And then you go and you get your bill in the mail. And wait a second, my insurance has gone up. Oh, wait a second, my power prices have gone up. One, two, three, they all start adding up and people start saying, wait a minute. And they look for solutions. They ask their government to deal with it. It's that group of people. It's this group of people. We need to have this resolved. But I'm here to tell you why the solution that's going to be proposed to you is a universal basic income. This is something that most people, the vast majority of people, are going to take. Why? Because it's free money. They're going to offer it to you. There's no question about this, that they're going to do so. Just like in Canada, they had CERB. And this was during 2020, everything shut down. If you qualify, no problem. Here's $2,000 for you. And then on top of that, just like in the United States, there were different programs. If you have a child, you get this much. If you have two children, you have this much. If you're married, if you're single, all these different things, you meet the criteria, you get a certain amount of cash. But UBI is a different level to that. Universal basic income basically means everybody gets the same amount. No longer do we have to administer all of this, no filling in forms, all of this. It's a very simplified process. Administering it is cheaper. And as a result of that, they can give more money to the people. In that respect, it's good. There's just one problem though. UBI. It's going to be likely to be connected in with the central bank digital currency. And the reason they do this is because there's a lot of people that are unbanked. And when you're unbanked, you can't just get access to this in the way that others would, unless you have a simple internet connection. We could send it through, and that's when things change. But there's another aspect to this, because as things become unaffordable, who's buying them? If we are talking about the assets of the world, well then, who is buying them? That's the question for you. I'll reveal that at the end of this video, but I think you might have a good idea. Put it down in the comments below. Let's see by the end of the video if you were correct about that, okay? Let's look at this. Growing food bank lines are a sign that society has lost its way. Groceries, an essential benefit, would help most vulnerable citizens. That's right. 9 million Canadians worry about where their next meal will come from. 9 million. The population's 40 million, and 9 million are food insecure. Isn't that shocking to you? Like, yeah, you can blame one guy or the other or whatever. It's going on all over the place. Nearly a quarter of Canadians report going without food, compromising on the quality of their groceries, or being worried about where their next meal will come from. It's heartbreaking. And this is the type of thing that we shouldn't see. But what has happened, you devalue the currency, and of course you get what we're dealt at this point, right? This is the hand we're dealt. McDonald's and other fast food chains are charging more. So much so that you might want to consider going for a slightly slower burger, or at least that's what Applebee's wants you to think about. You can get our burger for $9.99. Why would you take a $10 burger that you can eat out of a bag in your car? And that's a good thing, right? That they're saying, look, they've become so expensive that there are other options. Now, I have never had Applebee's. I don't know about that. Is it better? It's probably better than a McDonald's burger. I don't know. But the point is, we are seeing the prices of certain things pushed up so high that they hit the ceiling. There is a point at which regular stuff hits a ceiling, and then you get pushed back from the consumer. When it comes to assets, though, it's a little bit different. That doesn't mean that, there isn't a ceiling there, but I'll explain why, okay? It's different. Walmart to lay off and relocate workers, retailers cutting hundreds of corporate jobs, asking some staff to move to large corporate hubs. And this is what we've seen with so many different corporations. It's not just Walmart. It's not just in the tech industry. It's in finance. It's all over the place. Tesla laid off a huge amount. Okay, it's going on in every industry right now. They are cutting back. They are scaling back a little bit, tightening their belts as best they can. Okay, that's what's going on here and now. And companies are increasing fees like crazy. All my Amazon sellers in the room know what's going on. They're all increasing fees. They're all increasing everything that they can. They're trying to squeeze. That's usually a very bad sign of what's coming next. And you could see it. Ownership society. So business equity, the top 1% owns the overwhelming majority. But then you go to the second last one there, principal residence, the bottom 90%. The whole point here is that what I'm trying to show you is the richest of the rich people. They own all different types of assets, the stocks and the bonds and the real estate and anything. However, when it's coming down to the average person, basically the only asset they have is their primary residence. All right. And that's a problem when your primary residence is too expensive to purchase. So now you see where I'm going with this. The asset prices are becoming too expensive for people to purchase. The average person, the middle class person. I'm not talking about the poor people that are struggling. We know that, and that's getting worse. But now we move up middle class. They can't afford that anymore. So now what happens? Well, you're going to have a grand disparity unlike anything we have ever seen before. Why you should embrace using cold water almost all the time. Heating water gobbles energy, leading to higher utility bills. And that's what they tell you. That's what, if you remember, at the time, Prince Charles, he said, snub the tub. The guy who has, I believe the number is 122 servants at that time. I wonder what he has now. 122 servants working for him. He told you to snub the tub. You can search that online. And that's what they think of you. Don't use hot water. Don't use a basic essential thing like hot water. You are so low that you don't even deserve to heat your water. You have to understand the thinking behind this and the value that you are to basically the government and those above. You like when people say, well, I want my government to do this and I want my government to do that. They don't even want you to heat your water. Can you grasp that? And you say, no, you know what we need to do? We need to vote this government out and we need to vote another one in. No. The structure is the problem. The whole structure. There's nobody there. There's nobody there that's going to help you. All right? And the fact that there is a 100% guarantee that every single department, all the way down to the local levels, will spend, not only will they spend 100% of the money they're given, but they'll spend even more than that if they can. Why? Because if they don't spend it all, they don't get it the following year. And so they're always just going to spend everything and never like, hey, the fourth quarter's coming up. We got a couple months left at the end of the year. Let's dig up that road again. Anybody Canadians here or anyone been to Canada? You know the 401? Just see the 401. What happens? Every year they dig it up and they put it right back where it began, okay? Because they have the money to spend. They don't want to actually develop and create progress. That's not what they want. They want to dig up the road and have the guy just put it right back where it was. It's done on purpose. It's done on purpose. You can see what's happening with the consumers. They're struggling. Price stability is obviously an issue, okay? Then we have this services no longer required. Which jobs are most at risk? Cashiers, although some of these places, they've started to walk back on the cashiers, but we know what's going on, okay? If somebody was to ask me, like, what career should I not choose? I would put cashier at the top of the list. I mean, it's just a simple matter of fact, right? That's just the way it goes. So you could look at next. You got secretaries and administrative assistants, office clerks, customer service representatives. These things, we're getting technology to eliminate those. You know that this is the case. There's a lot of people employed in these jobs. What are they going to do? How are they ever going to afford? So maybe they leave a cashier job and they move to another thing or whatever. If they were a cashier before, you assume they're not, they couldn't work as a programmer for OpenAI, for instance, right? So where are they going to go? How are they ever going to afford the assets? Well, let me tell you something. Blackstone making $10 billion multifamily purchase, going on the real estate offensive. This is not just the only one. I've shown you so many. There's so many of this, okay? The big companies like Blackstone, this is the one I was telling you I would show you in the end. Blackstone, BlackRock, all these different big companies, they are buying up all the assets. Before, it was the case of these type of companies buying up the big multi-family properties and then they rent them out. Very typical, right? Because there's 300 units in this property, 500 units in this property, massive property, which would have to be owned by one of these, mega corporations, right? Multi-billion-dollar corporations. Makes sense. But now what they're doing is they're buying the single-family homes, and they're going to rent them back. And there are subdivisions and subdivisions of all of these. They know what's going on. They see the writing on the wall. People can't afford it. And so there will be a corporation there to buy it up. You will own nothing and be happy. Sing it with me. Sing it with me. You will own nothing and be happy. Look, we got to make it a little bit light if we can. This is the scenario that's going on today. We have to do everything that we can. We can ease the burden as best we can. But of course, we are always going to be faced with the music that if they're going to devalue their currency, look, let's say I was in the US and I'm using US currency because that's legal tender. So the employer's paying me. Well, I don't have a choice, right? They're paying me in that. Now I have to take that. I got to pay my bills and so on. What's left at the end of it? I got this little bit. Well, what do we do with that bit? I think more importantly, what do we do with our time that we have? That time, that sliver of time, we have to make use of that. And in that period of time, that's really what makes the biggest difference. It really is. And you don't make the biggest difference in one night or in two or in a week or even a month. You make the difference a little bit every single day over an extended period of time. That's the only way you can do it, or at least that's the only way I've been able to do it. Okay, there's no question about it. You could sit there and you could say, look, I'm tired, I need to relax, and so I'm just going to do nothing. I'm just going to watch some TV or whatever. Well, if your circumstances are on the wrong path, the only way, logically, the only way to get out of that is to completely change what you're doing and what you have control over. That's it. So start to make those changes today. I've got information on my website. I teach people how to build an online business and how to expand this. There's nothing like this. Okay, there is nothing like that. I'm part of as many groups as I possibly can be a part of, paid ones, free ones. And I'm telling you right now, what I have built on the Sunday Business Live does not exist, right? So I hope that you will join that. All right. I'm taking people right from ground zero and helping them to grow. And that's the thing I'm becoming most proud of. I want to give a shout out all the Sunday Business Live people. Check the link in the description at the top. Just check it out, read through it, see if it's of any interest to you. And I'll see you tomorrow. Take care.